Welcome in. It is day 364, and you're speaking to the Meeple's Champion. And today we're going to go into a game that was one of my favorites as a kid. The game is called Othello. Now, the concept of the game is that you're both going to be on an 8x8 grid, and you're going to start the game by having two of each of your pieces in the center. You're going to have a total of 64 chips that on one side are white, one side is black. In the center of the grid, you're going to have diagonally two blacks and diagonally two whites. That's the dead center. You'll figure out who goes first, and they'll be black. They have to place down a chip in a way that's going to cause it so they've outflanked their opponent. Meaning, if you have a white and a black, and you're black, you want to be on the other side of the white, so that on either side is black, everything in between gets flipped to your color. Then your opponent goes. If at any point it's your turn and you cannot legally place a chip because there's nothing you can outflank, you miss your turn. Your opponent gets to go instead. You're going to go back and forth until eventually either you've completely filled the board or both players cannot legally place down a chip. Once this occurs, you're going to end the game. You're going to count your total chips on the board of each color, and whoever has the most chips wins the game. That's the basics, but when we jump in, let's talk about our 7 categories and see where this game lands for us. Now, when it comes to the art, this is one of those aesthetic, abstract type of games. The actual game itself is just your black and white chips. It's usually on a green surfaced board. There's nothing artistic about this. On the flip side, the front of the box is what I always complain about. It's just a shot of the game itself. There's nothing really artistic here. It's going to be a thumbs down. Your components. So the chips are actually really good plastic. They're going to last. I had this game as a kid for over a decade, and it never had an issue with a chip cracking or breaking. At the same time, the board itself is a component here. You've got a really nice felt, and then on either side, there's actually a little flipping. I mean, most of the games, the one I had a area that you put your chips in, and it actually had a plastic cover that could flip over to protect them. The components are great for this game. Thumbs up. Your price. This game is not as available as it used to be. You're not going to find this in most of your classic board game stores anymore. You're more likely going to find this in a Target. And it is available online. It's probably going in that range about $30. And it's worth its money if you have somebody who's looking for a 1v1 game. This is a perfect pickup for your collection. It's not too much money. Thumbs up. Your difficulty. The game is not difficult. I think this is one that kind of goes in line with somewhere between checkers and chess. It's not quite as difficult as chess, but it's definitely far more advanced than checkers. You're looking at this being great for kids, great for beginners, and I think that if you're looking for 1v1 games, this is one that can go right in that same situation as an Azul type style game. It's a game that you can get to your board for 1 versus 1, and it's going to have you challenged, but you're not going to feel lost. I think experienced players will like this too. I think it's just the experts who kind of fall out on this one a little bit, because you can't really expert this game. I don't feel like you're going to ever find this game being one that people feel is truly challenging themselves. So if you've gotten to that expert level, you may not love it. I personally greatly enjoy this game, and I want to get it back in my collection. It was actually my parents' game, so it's still over at their place. I want to get my own copy at some point. But in general, I think the difficulty's there. Thumbs up. Replayability. This game is easily replayable. You're going to play this game in about 15 minutes. So you can play this various times in a row. This is a game you can pull out for quick, after dinners, during lunches, with a friend, with a family member. It's an easy game to get to the table, and it doesn't take too long. Thumbs up. Keys to victory. It's not about necessarily the keys as far as, well, obviously we're placing. We have to place in a way that's going to flank people, and therefore you're kind of controlled. But that's not exactly it. The keys are about what are you trying to look at for the board. You're going to have more than one opportunity to place something. So what are you after? Are you trying to get as many of your opponents as you can, because it could just as easily flip the other way? Or are you trying to get control spots? That being, if you can get to a corner can never be flipped. Once you have a corner, it is yours. And that's a power spot. by getting a corner, you can set yourself up so that you now can begin to have control for the end of the game. Or you might be looking at it as, well, if I work hard enough in this direction, I can actually force it so that my opponent is going to end up losing a turn and I can get back-to-back turns. So you might be looking at how can you set it up so that you can have late game multiple turns in a row to really control the board. There are keys here. The problem is that, as I've said before, there are keys to victory and there are routes to victory. Keys are actually completely different strategies, whereas routes are multiple options within one strategy. This is a game about routes of victory, not about the keys to victory. So I think that there are plenty of routes, but there's only really one key. It's got to be a thumbs down. Is the game unique? There's another game called Go that is extremely comparable to this, and we've seen other games that are like this through the years, about placing tiles or placing chips or whatever it may be, about having the most for you on the board. This is not a new theme. Obviously it's not new, this was one of the first games, but the concept still remains. I just don't think this really stands out as unique. It stands the test of time because it's a game that is two-player, that is not too hard to learn, but can be a lot of fun and can really just, for me, it's a lot of nostalgia that comes with it. But that being said, I don't think it's unique. Thumbs down. Overall, what do I think? It's a great little game. It's not hard to get. It's not too expensive. And it's a great two-player game. If you like two-player games, if you like abstract games, good aesthetic to the game, if you like, something that you want to upgrade your having played checkers, but you don't know if you're really ready for a game like, say, chess, which is more expert level, this is a perfect in-between game for you. Well, it has been day 364, and we've been speaking about the game Othello. And you've been speaking to the Meeple's champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding in an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. And check me out on Board Game Arena under the Meeple's champion. You can game request me, friend request me. I'm on a couple times a day. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.